All right, we've got Armando Lopez, our guru of all things HR here at Ramsey Solutions. So what is your question for Armando?
Hi, Armando.
Hi, Stacy.
I have an employee, a full-time employee. About a year ago, I noticed that our production was way down. We just weren't putting out the amount of services to our clients that we need to be putting out. And so we had a conversation. Business had increased, and this team member felt very overwhelmed. So we outsourced some of the work, and then eventually, back in the summer, we hired a part-time person to help relieve some of that workload. We really dialed in on what was expected of the position, and the job still just hadn't been getting done. And my part-time person is doing almost as much work as my full-time person. And I started noticing in the summer that this team member was spending a lot of time on the internet that didn't seem to be related to work. And so I did put a tracker on all of our work computers so that I could keep better track on where people were actually spending their time. Some days this team member spends 3.5 hours on internet pages that aren't related to work.
Stacy, can I stop you there for a second?
Yes.
Okay, so you have a problem with one team member's production. You have a problem with, you believe that they're spending an exorbitant amount of time on the internet on non-business related things. And because of those two things, you go through the expense of putting in a software program for the entire organization?
Yes, it was just 3 computers.
Okay. So did you think about addressing this one person? I think you're on the internet a lot, and here's why I believe it. There was some reason that you felt justified by putting this software in, right? The software tracking?
Yes. I checked the history, and some of the history had been erased, and some of the history that I could see was a lot of shopping pages. Okay.
So this is huge, right?
I really was curious about what was really going on.
Okay, so here's what I think, Stacy, and I may be way off, and I think your question, and I may be wrong, and I may be leading, you're probably going to ask, should you keep her or not, right? Or something to that effect. How should you reprimand or counsel or coach or really just exit her, right?
Right.
Okay, and what I think the real question is that why have you waited so long? I think you exited her the moment that you bought the software to track it. You already knew by looking at her history that she was hiding things because she was deleting some of her history. You already know that you walked by and saw her on pages that had nothing to do with work. And rather than, I think, address those things directly and say, why are you deleting your history? Nobody else does. So let me phrase this a different way. We don't have software tracking here at Dave Ramsey Solutions because we trust all of our employees. We trust that they're going to do the right thing at the right time and that they're going to be able to do their job. And I think that by doing the things you did, I think there's a lack of, you've lost trust in that team member's ability to do what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do it.
That's right. And Stacey, I've got to ask, let me ask, why haven't you fired her? Right now, like, why haven't you? Is it fear of the confrontation, or is it fear of being able to replace her workload?
Fear of the confrontation. I've never had to fire an employee before.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the hardest
Never
thing.
really had to reprimand one.
Hey, so here's the deal. Let's just take away some of the shame right now. Okay. This is normal. If you've never done it before, it's a very difficult thing the first time. Armando, let's just give her a couple of real techniques here, some practical next steps, because she knows she wants to fire her. She knows she needs to fire her. How does she do it best?
So step one, no one should ever be surprised that today is their last day. So she's got to know how you feel about it, and she's got to know what the next course of action is. In other words, what is the exit strategy? If we're sitting down and role-playing this scenario, Ken, and I've already done all this, I'm guessing that Stacy's already had a conversation with this team member, right? The first time? So the first time should just be a conversation. Your workload is down. I see you on the internet a lot. Help me understand what that's all about. The second conversation is a much harder conversation. Your workload is down. We have a software tracking. You're spending a lot of time on things that are not business related. If this continues, you will be gone. And the third conversation is today will be your last day because your behavior has not improved. And so your behavior has stayed the same. The part that I think especially people that like to avoid confrontation, they jump right to step 3. Because I can minimize all this into one conversation and just say today's going to be your last day. But that's not the way we would want to be treated. Mm-hmm. We would want somebody to walk us through and tell us how to correct the behavior. And then if we choose not to, it's no longer on that owner, on that business leader. It's the team member's fault.
That's right.
They had an opportunity to correct it. They did not.
Well, in the process that you laid out, and Stacey, this is huge. I agree. You have total justification to fire tomorrow, today.
Yep.
But there's a chance that she could rehabilitate and go, I've never been challenged like this before. And you present all the evidence and go, hey, but here's the deal. It's got to be fixed. And she might just fix it. And she might just become one of the most valuable people on your team. And down the road, you look at it, and not only are you rehabilitating a situation and maybe a team member, Armando, but you're learning a valuable leadership lesson. Okay. It is a lot easier, in my opinion, to help someone behave better than it is to sometimes replace them.
That's beautiful, but it's not where I thought you were going to go.
What do you think I was going to do?
It's much easier to handle these situations before they blossom.
Well, that is true.
So the very first time that we have this,
that's right,
this gut feel,
that's right,
that, you know what, there's something here beyond the fact that the work has escalated, right? The fact she hired somebody else part-time means that Stacey believed, okay, that is too much to ask of one person.
Right.
But now that I have a part-time person doing more than my full-time person,
that's right.
Like that would have been addressed immediately, right? To say, hey, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Right.
Stacey, are you okay? Are things okay at home? Or not Stacey, but Stacey talking to her team member.
That's right.
Is there something outside of work, care and concern for our team? How would we want to be treated? And when she says, why are you asking me all these questions? Well, it's because I have a part-time team member that's producing more than you are at full-time.
Well, I brought it on because you said you couldn't handle it, and so I'm seeing a disconnect. Here's why I said what I said, Armando, about it's easier many times to, and I'm using the word rehabilitate, that's a heavy word, but the idea is help someone along than it is to replace them. Here's why. Here's what I know. You know this. The Ken Coleman Show exists because of a recent Gallup poll that said 70% of Americans are disengaged at work.
That's right.
This lady is disengaged at work, and she's not a criminal.
Nope.
She's spending time on social media and Pinterest and shopping sites. So here's the deal. She's disengaged. Why is she disengaged? Some of it's on her. I'm going to go ahead and say, Stacey, some of it is on you.
Absolutely.
So that's why I went where I went.
And Ken, I love the second part. I didn't think you were going there, but I love that piece of it because I'm also the guy charged with bringing people in here, right?
Of course.
And guess what? It is very hard to find people.
It's a lot of work.
So it is a lot easier to take an existing team member. We already know them. We know their strengths, their weaknesses, and we can put them in the right seat to win.
Good. I'm glad you agree with that because I just kind of went with that, and I knew that you might correct me as the HR executive.
But I was hoping you wouldn't think that.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff. All right, Stacey, thank you for the call.